Where America Fights Back, USA Boxing Arena Story. Boxing Glove United States is not merely a tale of punches thrown and victories earned, but a deep cinematic reflection of America's fighting spirit carved into the walls of boxing arenas where dreams are tested under blinding lights and roaring crowds. Because in these arenas America does not simply compete, it responds, it resists, and it fights back against poverty, injustice, self-doubt, and the weight of impossible odds, as generations of fighters have stepped between the ropes carrying stories far heavier than their gloves, stories born in inner-city streets, forgotten towns, immigrant neighborhoods, and broken homes, where boxing was never a sport first but a lifeline, a discipline, and a promise of escape. And from the earliest days when smoky halls echoed with bare-knuckle clashes to the modern arenas packed with technology, cameras, and global audiences, the USA boxing arena has always been a battlefield of identity, where fighters do not just represent themselves but entire communities longing to be seen, heard, and respected, and every bell that rings announces more than a round. It announces a chance at redemption, as fighters enter with scars both visible and hidden, knowing that one moment of weakness can erase years of sacrifice, yet still choosing to fight. Because America's boxing story has never been about perfection, it has always been about perseverance, about standing up after being knocked down, mirroring the nation itself, a country shaped by struggle, resilience, and constant reinvention. And as the decades rolled on, boxing arenas across the United States became symbols of raw truth, places where hype fades and only heart survives, where fighters from different races, cultures, and backgrounds collide not as enemies but as reflections of the same hunger, the same desire to prove worth in a world that often denies it. And legends were born not because they never fell, but because they rose every single time, redefining what courage looks like under pressure, while trainers in dusty gyms molded raw talent with discipline, wisdom, and tough love, teaching that boxing is not about violence alone but about control, patience, timing, and respect, values that extend far beyond the ring, shaping lives long after the final fight. And when America faced economic crises, social unrest, and cultural shifts, boxing arenas remained a constant, offering a stage where emotions were real, outcomes were earned, and excuses were exposed, reminding fans that greatness is not given, it is fought for. And in these arenas the crowd becomes part of the story, their cheers lifting exhausted fighters, their silence cutting deeper than any punch, proving that boxing is a shared experience between the ring and the seats, a collective release of hope, anger, and pride. And as television and digital platforms expanded boxing's reach, the USA boxing arena evolved into a global symbol, exporting not just fights but narratives of grit and survival, inspiring millions worldwide who saw their own struggles reflected in the fighters' eyes. Yet behind the glamour and titles lie countless untold stories of fighters who never made headlines, who trained before sunrise and after midnight, balancing jobs, family responsibilities, and injuries, fighting not for fame but for dignity. And these stories form the true backbone of American boxing, a reminder that the arena's greatest battles are often invisible, fought in silence long before the spotlight appears. And today, as new generations step into USA boxing arenas, facing a world driven by social media, instant judgment, and short attention spans, the core truth remains unchanged. The ring still demands honesty, courage, and sacrifice, and it still rewards those who refuse to quit, making the USA boxing arena a place where America continues to fight back, not against an opponent alone, but against fear, limitation, and the temptation to give up. Because every fight is a statement that struggle does not define the end, it defines the beginning. And this is why the USA boxing arena story matters, because it is not just about boxing, it is about life, about falling and rising, about pain transformed into power, about individuals turning adversity into achievement. And as long as gloves are laced and bells are rung, the story of where America fights back will continue, echoing through arenas, inspiring fighters and fans alike, reminding the world that the strongest victories are born from the hardest battles. Boxing Glove United States.